Hi, this is Miss Gooch, and we are going to do a lesson today on analysing structure. So you can see our learning objective is how can I analyse the narrative movement within a text. So we're going to use the Jamaica in extract that I uploaded on Google Classroom yesterday. So if you need to pause the video now, go back and have a little reread of that because we won't be reading that together now. So just to start, what is narrative movement? So narrative movement is the way that a narrative develops across a text, across an extract, across a book. So there's all sorts of movement in narrative. It could be a change in time, it could be a change in setting, character, mood, weather, anything like that. And writers do this obviously to change the mood, change the tone, to change the effect on the reader. And that's what this question in the exam, it's question 3 in the exam that we'll be focusing on today. That's what this question is asking you to analyse. It's a little bit trickier than language analysis, but hopefully by the end of this video you will be able to do it with a bit of confidence. So as a little starter activity, I want you to have a look at these 7 sentences, and if you were writing a story, I want you to decide what order you would put these in for maximum impact on your reader, and then explain why. So pause the video now, have a go at doing that, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so if it was me, and this doesn't have to be the same, but I would be thinking, I would first of all want this one, I'm going to label that A, because I would want my readers to know that it's 9 p.m. So I want them to know that it is nighttime and be aware of that, because instantly then that makes it a little bit more unsettling because of the darkness and the uncertainty. And then I think I want my woman, in the protagonist in my story, I want her to pick up the letter outside her house, because that's a little bit unsettling as well. You would expect it to be inside the house, so it's going to start my readers questioning, who's this letter from? Obviously, if I was writing, I might give a bit more detail about it. Is there an address on it? Is it just a name? What is it? And then before she unlocks the door, I think I want a street light to flicker, because again, I'm just trying to build up this atmosphere, this tension, and then she is going to unlock the door to her house. And I think I want my cat then to, still getting my head around this. So then I want the cat to meow from the doorway, because I think having an animal in a situation can be kind of eerie, especially cats can be a little bit like they bring a sign of something, don't they? A sign of something maybe a little bit unsettling or dangerous. They just have that kind of connotation, and being in a doorway suggests that maybe when the woman goes through it, something is going to be waiting for her there. And then I think I would want her to drop the bag and then someone to clear the throat. So I want the end of my section to be this. Now it could be, if this is the opening, it could be that she lives with someone. That doesn't have to be necessarily something unsettling, but in this context, that's what I want it to build up to. I want it to build up to this moment. So as a writer, and you are writers, I know I'm a writer to an extent, you would be thinking about these things all the time. What order am I going to put the things in my story in to have the maximum impact on my reader? And that's how I want you to think about this question. How has the writer structured the text to interest you as a reader? And that is the question. So in your exam, this is question 3. Okay, and it's always worded the same. Always worded the same, so you can walk into the exam with the confidence knowing that this question is always going to be the same. The only thing that's going to change obviously is the extract that you use. So we're going to focus on 3 structural things in this lesson. Not really a lesson, you know what I mean. So we're going to focus mainly on narrative movement. Obviously narrative movement is our learning objective, and that's just, like I said, how the narrative changes as the text develops. We're also going to have a little think about foreshadowing, and we're also going to have a little think about the positioning of words and sentences. Now, this isn't the same as analysing language. What you're really good at is picking out words, talking about the effect. That's not what this is about. This part is about, why has the writer put the word anxious at the beginning of the text? what effect does that have on us? What's the effect of telling us in the very opening line that this character is anxious? What's the effect of telling us in the very opening line that there's thunder? So why has the writer positioned the words or phrases in that place? And for the shine, I'll explain this when we look at the extract. I want you to have a look at if there's any cyclical structure. So does the extract start and end on a similar image, and how has that image developed across the text? So what we need to think about, and maybe I would suggest taking a picture of this once they're all up, and then when we go back to the text you can have those in front of you. Possible effects of structural features. So it could make the reader feel apprehensive or anxious, or another emotion, but those two are pretty good ones to go for. Could make you feel sympathetic for a character. Could help you to have a better understanding of or insight about a setting or character. Could make us question something about the text, or could make us feel intrigued about something mysterious or hidden from us within the text. So maybe take a little picture of that. That's not by any means the only effects that structural features can have, but I don't want to overwhelm us just to start with. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to look at the extract together in a minute. I'm going to use my fancy little writing board to try and annotate, and you can just see how well that goes. So you need to ask yourself these 3 questions. What is the writer drawing my attention to at the beginning of the text? What changes as the text develops? And what is the writer focusing on by the end of the text? So really, beginning, middle, end. The change doesn't have to be in the middle, but it's just the easiest way to think about it. So let's go and have a look. Oh, yes. Let's go and have a look at this extract then. So you should have read this one already, and we're just going to look at this opening paragraph together. So it was a cold grey day in late November. The weather had changed overnight when a backing wind brought a granite sky and a mizzling rain with it. And although it was now only a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the pallor of winter evening seemed to have closed upon the hills, cloaking them in mist. It would be dark by 4. So I'm not going to read the whole of this paragraph, but I mean, that was a long sentence, but what is the writer drawing our attention to in this very opening line? Now, this is the opening of a book, and for me, this is a really interesting thing for them to be focusing on. So they said this: the weather had changed overnight. Now, it's interesting to include the idea of change in the very opening of the text, because for me, that could suggest that people weren't ready. So you know how it's been like, if it was like sunny for a week, and I'm just finished writing this because there we go. If it's been sunny for a week and you've got everything out in the garden, and then it suddenly starts to rain and you have to run out and pull in all your washing, and because you're unprepared for the weather change, so straight away a little bit unsettling, people are unprepared for that. And then for me, there's also this, I'm just going to say foreshadowing, foreshadowing, because if the weather's changed, is there something else that's going to change in the text for the characters, or for the setting, or for the action? So putting the idea of a change in the very opening line starts it in a way that instantly you think, this isn't just going to be plain sailing, there's going to be bumps in the road, and we see that through the journey of the coach as well. And I think it's interesting as well to include this idea of darkness. It would be dark by 4. As we know, darkness is unsettling, darkness is the unknown, and it's the idea that it's soon coming, so it's on its way. This darkness is on its way, again enhancing this idea of foreshadowing, of something being a little bit unsettling. And generally as well, we've got pathetic fallacy you can talk about of the weather. So obviously the weather in this piece is reflecting the mood, so you could mention that as well. And then you want to have a look at, you want to go down the extract, if I can do that, let me just see. You want to move down the extract and think about what changes. So there might be more than one change, but you just want to have a think about what is the most significant one, really. So we've got an instruction of a driver, and then so I would probably say that changes is we kind of move from out to in. We move from the outside to inside to start learning about these few passengers that are huddling together for warmth. So what is the effect of this? You need to think about. So, well, it's revealing, isn't it? It's revealing more about the characters. It's revealing more about the situation. That is intriguing to us because we're wondering what is going on. And we learn about these lots of different characters. So what's the effect of introducing all these characters? We get an understanding, we can picture what it's like inside the coach. We can picture the kind of hectic nature of it all, and then we keep going through. You can have a little look in a bit more detail if you want to, and then by the end, what has the writer focused on? Well, it's this woman here, Mary Yellen. Okay, so what do we notice about her versus all the other characters? Well, she's got a name. She's named. What does that probably suggest to us? That she's a main character, that she's going to have some importance within the text. There's... oh, sorry. Okay, I'm going to put main / important character. Okay, so by the end of the text, we've zoomed from like out really far to inside the character's mind, and we learn more about her. But then she does look out the window. So remember what I was talking about for Shine, this idea of a cyclical structure. We've moved outside to in, but we're returning outside to the weather. So what's the importance of that? What's the effect of that? For you Shine people, or whoever wants to try Shine, I'm going to leave you to think about that yourself. Okay, so take some time now, maybe pause the video, have a little look through. Do you think I've missed anything? Is there anything else significant? If I missed a moment of foreshadowing you want to talk about? Do you think there's another change we could talk about? Pause the video now and have a look for yourself. Okay, so we're going to have a go answering this question together to start with, and then I'm going to start it and you guys are going to finish it for me. So we're going to keep it really simple. The question is just there for you. How is the writer structured the text that interests you as a reader? And we're going to go for this: beginning, evidence, effect; narrative change, evidence, effect; ending, evidence, effect. All right, so let's get this. Let me get a text box going here. So I'm going to start by saying, at the beginning of the extract, the writer draws our attention to the terrible weather conditions. She mentions that the weather had changed overnight, which immediately, so this is me now going, this is the main part where you're going to pick up marks in the exam. This is me now talking about the effect. Using words like immediately, draws our attention to, beginning, that all signifies that you're talking about structure. If we were doing a language analysis question, you want to be saying the verb, the noun, the metaphor, the simile. In this question, you want to be talking about positioning. So words like immediately, those prepositions, they're going to help you get those marks. So immediately makes us feel unsettled because it suggests the characters might be unprepared for the extreme weather and therefore be vulnerable to it. Okay. Have I got anything else to say? I'm going to say furthermore. It could, I'm getting another subject word, it could foreshadow a change in action to occur later in the text, which intrigues us. I'm going to leave it there for now. So, as I said, effect is the most important thing. I'm going to just colour code this bit here. And I will help you start off the next part of, so from the narrative change, I'm going to say, as the text develops, the narrative shifts to focus on, and I'm going to leave it there for you. So give it a go. It's a different type of question. We've not really done much of this before. I know you can do it. If you have any questions, let me know, and otherwise just submit it and I will give you a mark. All right.